1, 2, 3, tuning into what's hot like a cup of tea. The Burp is live, it's time to feast with BLT icon bringing you the heat. Static on the dial and the crackle in the air, feeling like a rebel in the days wear and tear. The BLT icon's pouring out the noise, tuning into the Burp with the glitch and poise. Let's go!
Banter mixed with a dash of wild, keep your brainwaves swilling, keep your thoughts unfiled. Nothing is too strange, no tale is taboo. Catch up with the icons, there's always something new. Hot takes cooler than a summer breeze, hidden gems uncovered with the greatest ease.
All right, everybody, it's Lucka from the Burp Podcast, and we got a special episode for you today. I said we, implying Billy and T West are here, but they are not. Unfortunately, T West is still on his way back from Vegas. Billy, well, you can see it's still daylight outside, so I'm doing this podcast a little bit earlier than normal, but I am a diehard F1 fan, so I'm going to review this week Drive to Survive, what I saw on Netflix. I'm going to go over my likes and my dislikes of it. And then also my season predictions of where I think it's going to kind of go this year. And then I'm going to end it with Australia. Australia starts this week. So kind of a big start to the year. Let's talk about it. So heading on into it, of course, y'all know I got a drink. Drinking that classic Arnold Palmer with vodka. So it's lemonade, tea, and vodka. So, oof. Okay, so I think there's just vodka in there. I might have messed that one up. That's going to be a sipper for this episode. That's for sure. Wow. Did not think that went through before I stepped on here. All right. Diving into it. So, Formula One, how do we break it down? What's it about? For those who don't know, let's kind of dive into it. The way I look at Formula One is it's a team developed around a driver and a car. And both of these have to be absolute perfect every single week. It's like having your quarterback, Tom Brady, throw for 7 touchdowns every single week as a Super Bowl. If you do not perform, you're done. You're just not doing anything that week. You lose points, and there's a good chance you won't win the championship overall. And there's 2 championships. There's a driver's championship and a team championship. So not only does just the driver matter, the team matters too, because they get tons of money, millions of dollars. I think it's $130 million for just getting first place in Formula One as a team. That is a lot of money. So the way I break it down is you got baseball for the salary cap, where it's a really high salary cap, but not all teams can spend that much money. So you have your big teams like McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes, who are all spending that top echelon of money. And then it tears down with these other teams that, hey, if they get it right as far as setting up that car and developing an absolutely amazing, badass car, maybe they can compete with some of those top teams, especially if they have the right driver and the right team in place to make this happen. So kind of looking at it from a football perspective is the actual team. So you have your quarterback, who is the driver. He needs to show up every single week. But your team, your pit crew, and your engineers who develop the car, that's like your offense and your defensive line. Your offensive line is going to be the team that's developing the car and everything. If they don't develop it right, it's not perfectly aerodynamic. You're losing seconds out there on the track, and you're not going to keep up with them, and it's going to look horrible. People are going to laugh at you like, why do you even have a car here? You shouldn't even be here. Like, it's trash. And then your pit crew. If your pit crew is anything like Sauber's Steak last year, be like the Chicago Bears. That Chicago Bears offensive line, it was horrible, and they were horrible. So if your pit crew does not do like a perfect stop, and I'm saying like 2.2 seconds, that's all. You're like in, out, gone, boom, done, and you're back out there. And then there's a lot of strategy that goes on with each race too. We're actually going to talk about strategy a little bit with the Australia race this weekend, because I think something's going to happen. But so that's kind of how Formula One is. Everybody needs to work together as one in order for everything to pop off completely perfect. And it's magical when it does work, and then when it doesn't work, it is hilarious to see some of these teams. You're like, what are they even doing out there on the track? And it's quite interesting. And this is the one sport where if you have enough money, you could probably make it there. There's a special person named Lance Stroll. Papa Stroll owns his team that he drives on. Should this guy be a Formula One driver? My humble opinion, I think no. I think he's found more walls than he's found podiums, which yeah, that's factual. That's actually very accurate right there. He's found more walls than he's found podiums in his career. A podium is when you're finishing in the top three. So diving into Drive to Survive is very theatrical. It is a behind the scenes, so you can see some of the drivers' lives, and it's a pretty cool thing to watch if you're a Formula One fan. Um, this is the seventh season. This season was completely 180 from the last seasons because last season had Red Bull just dominating, and there wasn't too many other victories you could really show on that side of things. So this year, there's so many magical stories to portray out there. As I said, um, Lando's first win, Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone. I wanted to see how they're going to portray the fight with Lando and Max. And then shoot, Leclerc winning Monaco finally. And then I said, hey, as a wild card, maybe they'll throw in an Alpine episode. Well, all that stuff I asked for did end up happening. So, how did it happen? Did I like how it happened? And that's what I'm going to dive into. Going into my likes, let's start off positive because I'm going to be a little bit of a dickhole on the negatives. Netflix, I feel like they kind of dropped the ball this season. They had so many magical moments, and they didn't portray it correctly. And really, honestly, they just shit the bed. But likes, like I said, I love the behind the scenes, the diverse side of seeing the drivers. Um, is really cool. You got to see more and more and more about them and how they live their life and how they look at things. It was nice seeing a lot more of Lando and how he's looking at things, how he portrays things with his everyday life and how he interprets the things on track. And honestly, that was awesome. Um, Carlos had a big decision because Lewis Hamilton went over to Ferrari before the year even started. So where's Carlos Sainz going? He doesn't have a drive. There's only two drivers per team, two cars per team. Can't have any more. And so automatically, he's out. Where's he going to go? Everybody's trying to figure it out because there are so many seats open, so many places he could have gone. And you didn't know where he was going to end up. Well, finally, he ended up with Williams. We all knew that. But throughout the season, it just dragged on and on and on. I'm like, what is going on? That one, I can't tell if Netflix skewed the story at all. I'm not in that deep. But from what I saw, it was good because, yeah, all of a sudden Alpine jumped into the mix. I think with Fabio coming back to the team, that portrayed it in a great way. With you, Adam deciding, does he go to kick Sauber because of his dad, who drove for Audi for doing some rally stuff. And then you even had Williams to develop that team, and the guy who was running that team, Vowles, he was going hard in for him. He was doing whatever he needed to do to get him, and in the end, he ended up winning. I liked seeing him finally go and sign. It sounded like he had his cousin going and doing a lot of the work and paying attention on that stuff for him as he was just trying to run out the season, which I can see why that happened. I liked seeing Lewis win in Silverstone. That was cool. It was very magical the last time he's going to win at Silverstone with Mercedes. What a crazy, awesome thing to have happen. Lando winning in Miami. I thought that was really cool too. I liked it. A little bit awkward when Red Bull was like, hey, where do we go? We didn't have a single car on the podium. How do I get from A to B around here? I don't know what to do. Is new for them to like not be on the podium. They looked a little lost. They had to walk all the way around the stadium after the race. Boo-hoo, right? Alpine, they showcased their double podium with Gasly and Ocon. It was really cool to see that and persevere and have something good. And I didn't really think about it. It was after Fabio came back to the team, so that was pretty cool too. And then uh, Leclerc winning Monaco, to finally have the curse over with, to see how happy he was and all that good stuff. That was really, really cool too. Glad to see that monkey off his back. And then my absolute favorite episode, I'm gonna go with Singapore, with how it was recorded by the drivers. A lot of it was recorded by the drivers. We all know it's the most intense race, the hottest race of the year. It's just a nightmare. They said 60 degrees Celsius down there on the track at time of race, and it jumped up how many different degrees. I mean, you even saw Russell, he got heat sickness after the race, and it didn't hit him until well after. That's serious. What those guys put their their bodies through, losing almost like what 9 pounds during a race. That is insane. Just in a 2 hour amount of time, and they only had this little tiny bottle of water stashed somewhere in there by them with X amount of ounces. So you can't like be chugging water the whole entire time. Like the car has to be as light as possible to even have a chance to win. So fluids are not what they're thinking about for these guys for this race. So that was everything I liked. Uh, Overall, Netflix and Drive to Survive have done an absolute amazing job for showcasing Formula One and getting a whole bunch of new followership in America. So that's great. I've been a Formula One fan since 1989 ish, 1990 ish. When I was a kid, my uncle, he was a race car driver. He took me to all the SCCA events and took me to IndyCar events. So when I saw this red and white car of Emerson Fittipaldi win the 500, the Marlboro car, I thought that was really cool. Well, one day my uncle was watching Formula One, didn't even realize it was a different car, but it's the same exact paint scheme. I fell in love with a guy named Ayrton Senna. If you know anything about him, I've heard his name before. He is probably one of the most talented drivers out there. Unfortunately, he lost his life way too early in a crash. That's how nuts Formula One is. At any given moment, you could die. I mean, same goes for IndyCar, but man, the speeds that these cars go on for Formula One and how on edge they are and the type of tracks that they drive, it is something else. From there, after Senna passed away, I jumped onto the German heritage train. Um, Michael Schumacher was my guy, and then Vettel became my guy, and I supported Red Bull and what they did. And from there, it kind of just blossomed into turning into a Checo fan. So he's the closest thing we got to an American driver. I absolutely love him as a driver. So not having him on the grid for 2025 really, really sucks. Did I take a couple things in Drive to Survive personal because of it? Yeah, probably a little biased, maybe, right? But with that being off to the side, this year I'm completely unbiased. I have no driver necessarily. Uh, I I like some teams, but I don't just root for a team. Some people root for just teams. Some people root for just drivers. I was more of a driver guy that enjoyed the team that they're with. So I really enjoyed Red Bull when Checo was there. I really enjoyed Red Bull when Vettel was there. I really enjoyed Ferrari when Michael Schumacher was there. So because I don't really have somebody right now, I'm not too sure how I'm going to look at it. But hey, I'm going to watch every single race. I'm going to watch every single qualifying. I'm going to watch all the practices because hey, that's just what I've done for X amount of years of my life. Um, the fact that Drive Survive has brought in so many more people, especially my wife included now. She watches every single one of those with me. Got lucky with that one. I don't know how she got into it, but hey, I roped her in. A win is a win. I'm not going to complain. But now let's get into the bad side, the dislikes of Drive to Survive. I think there was a lot of dramatization of things that didn't happen and made up stories. I get it. You're doing it all for the glitz and the glam, but the way you did it, if you're a Formula One fan, it was very transparent stuff that you saw on the track. So it's like, why are they saying this? This is not even a thing that ever happened. makes no sense. You kind of look like an idiot now for doing that. For example, Max and Lando. The first big incident was at Austria. Trying to get around Max is tough. The guy uses up the track, the whole entire track. And they ended up colliding, got into an accident. Lando ended his race. Max, I think he finished up there somewhere. He had some damage though, hurt his race a little bit. It wasn't good. They are like really good best friends. The way they portrayed it was Lando and Max didn't like each other for the end of the season up until when Max won the championship and then he came on over and they talked to each other. And at that point, when even if you don't watch Formula One every week, even at that point, watching how they talk to each other and everything and seeing how buddy buddy they were in that conversation, you could almost tell, like, wait, they were way too casual there and way too friendly there that there's no way that if you were pissed off at them the whole season that you guys would talk like that. They were so buddy buddy for that. So that dramatization was so blown out. The one cool thing about it is I didn't realize they had to do their interviews right next to each other. You never got to see that on Sky Sports where they're right next to each other. So they're both answering questions and you can hear them like leaning on in and listening to each other. And they got that stuff resolved right away. And they just knew, like, hey, going to drive each other hard every week. Just is what it is. And it was just mix match in episodes that didn't quite make sense and it was out of sequence. So they they shit the bed on that one. I forgot how strong that was. I would uh, need a warning label before I drink that. Oof, my face is red. Uh, let's talk about George Russell. I think I used to like this guy. Now I think he's kind of like a goon. Um, they're trying to pick the driver for Mercedes for next year, their true number one. Yeah, obviously it's going to be Russell with Lewis Hamilton going over to Ferrari. But you need somebody to compliment him. The way they portrayed the episode, like, oh, he's back on form. He's figuring it out. He won Spa. Woo, yeah, he's back up there. He got disqualified. He got disqualified. And you showed him as a winner. Like, what? It makes no sense at all as to why you would end up having it portrayed like that. And I believe he won another race. You could even have done that other race that he actually did get the win for. So why they chose that, I don't know. They finally announced Kimmy once he passes license. I think he's going to be great for this next year. I think he's going to be a great rookie, and him going straight into that Mercedes shows his maturity versus Russell, who had to start in a Williams, a lower car sister team, and work his way up. The maturity with Kimmy, I think, is going to be there, and he's going to be good for that team. I have a feeling he's going to outperform Russell within the next year or two. Other things I didn't like. This one hits. Ocon. Ocon got fired from the team. He got sacked. They're like, hey, man, we're not re-signing you after the whole Monaco incident. You literally just ran into your guy. They announced it right away the next week. That's not what Netflix shows. They gave all the power to Ocon. And they showed how great Haas was doing. I'm leaving Alpine to go to Haas because they're on the rise and this team sucks. And that was not it at all. Because even after that, there's quite a few races where Ocon just shit the bed, for a better word. He didn't do great. And all the way until Brazil, which was one of the last races, and it just so happened that there was rain. Rain, all cars are on the equal platform for that because it's all on the skill of the driver, whether you keep that car on the track or not at that point. So the 2-3, the way they showcased that with Fabio being back, that was cool. But then last race of the year, Ocon wasn't even there because he got pushed out. That they at least portrayed correctly. He got pushed out. If Fabio was done with him, you're not performing. Why have you here? It just didn't make sense that they put Ocon on this pedestal and like he had all the power. No, you you got told that you're not being re-signed, and you found a ride a couple weeks later. But just show it how it really is. That kind of bugged me because Ocon, he's one of those little douchey French people who's like, I'm so skilled. I'm so amazing. Yeah, he got one win. And how did he get that one win? It's because there was rain and a bunch of people got taken out, and he got lucky to pass them all going into the first turn because he started so far back, and he ended up getting the lead on the restart for the restart. Um, so that worked out for him. Why he got his first win. He is pretty good at driving in the rain, and his team's pretty good at making strategies for the rain. So Alpine in general is pretty decent with dealing with rain conditions. That's what I got out of that. Um, the radio messages of how the guys are talking to their crew chiefs or their managers in the earpiece. They spliced them all together, and they didn't make sense. It's This is how I look at it. They took a bunch of stuff from wrong episodes and they spliced together a whole bunch of video and a whole bunch of radio messages that were all mixed together from all these different races and put it into one race to make it look like it was the actual one race. That's like going back and watching the Super Bowl and watching the Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And as you're watching like a recap of it, they show Saquon Barkley doing the reverse hurdle over a guy. Didn't need that in there. You already got the win, and you did it in a very convincing way. Why did you have to splice in something that didn't happen? Like pulling out AJ Brown's book. He did that a long time ago, but now we're going to showcase it like it was the first time, and everybody pulled out a book at the exact same time. And look at what AJ Brown did. Makes no sense. Why would you do that for that type of event? I have no idea. It it just doesn't work, and it makes the producing of Drive to Survive look pretty foolish, in my opinion. Lastly, and it's because I'm a homer for this guy up here. How they did the whole Checo dismissal, how they went about it. Liam Lawson, God, if there's a driver I don't like on the grid now, it's gonna be Liam. Just with the amount of disrespect he had last year. Now that I get to see the things he's saying off the track, he sounds like a little like fuck boy. But really, that's it. Good. You're fast. That's great. But you're a fuck boy. And that's gonna bite your ass on the track. They're gonna end up taking you out. Somebody's gonna do something dumb. You're not gonna have the respect of the other drivers with how you're treating other drivers. And they showed it like Checo got released right away, and it was gonna be Liam this whole time. It wasn't really like that. The whole Checo thing was complicated, and they said he's our driver, he's our driver, he's our driver. Whether they're lying to us or not, I want to believe that they weren't really lying to us. So, with that being said, how they portrayed that whole entire thing, he flipped off Checo after almost taking him out and passing him because he ruined Checo's car in Mexico at the guy's home race. Like, what's that? Um, and he doesn't understand the rules of like, hey, sister team always yields to the lead team. So Red Bull, hey, you get the right of way. I should get to go around you wherever I please. You back off. Nope, that didn't happen. So the amount of disrespect that was there in that race wasn't a real fan of. And then how they showed it, how they portrayed all of it, just made it even worse. So Liam Lawson, I mean, you're right there with Stroll for me. Like zero respect for you right now. So that's what I think of the Drive to Survive. I just think they shit the bed. They had all these magical opportunities to take this season, this season, and make it magical and showcase all these romantic stories and could have made it look so cool, but instead they wanted to go for dramatics. Like, ooh, we're gonna show all this crazy stuff. As if for the people who watch F1 don't already know what really happened. It's kind of like an insult to yourself for what you were doing. Makes no sense at all with how they threw all that out there. Now, enough about that. Let's go into this next season's predictions. I think it's going to be a little bit different than what we saw last year. I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to just do the top 10 because nobody cares about the next 10 drivers. Like, it is what it is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with 10th. I think 10th place is going to be Yuki Tsunoda. I think that car is going to be decent. I think Yuki, because he's on his own after this year, he doesn't have the support of Honda anymore. And this is his career he's racing for. I think he shows up. I think he shows the maturity. Yeah, I think he's going to be the most fine driver with all the cussing on the radio, but he's going to show up. I think he gets at least 10th. 9th, I think, is Liam Lawson. I think he completely shits the bed with Red Bull and he gets 9th place in points. And that's a nice 9th place because you know what? I'm almost thinking he might get fired halfway through, and those points are enough points to at least keep him in 9th. I think he's more like 7th and 6th for most of the season, but because he gets like fired and somebody else comes on in, like Yuki gets some more points and they're at least like close to the end of the year. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, but I think he's like 9th place. I don't think he has what it takes to really get a substantial amount of points. And especially with Red Bull kind of going backwards a little bit last year. Yeah, you're not outperforming Checo. That's what I gotta say. That's pretty much what I'm saying. 8th place, I think Carlos takes that Williams car and continues an upward trend of showing he has a chip on his shoulder. He's been replaced and replaced and replaced countless times in his career now. It's like he's still got that chip. He's got, like T West says, big old bag of chips sitting right there on his shoulder. And I think he's going to show that once again with that big old bag of chips. He's going to run the best he can. I think he gets 8th place in points. He's a proven race winner with Ferrari. And when Ferrari was rebuilding that team, I think he's going to do good with Williams. Oh boy. Drink time. Because this next one, Kimmy's number 7. Rookie. I think he's going to be up there. 7th is pretty decent, especially a rookie coming right into the league. Mercedes, we all know they got a decent car. They're top 4 manufacturer. So 7th isn't that bad. 6th, his counterpart, George Russell, because I still think he's a dodo. I don't think he's going to do everything that he needs to. All right, now, top 5. Oh, man. This drink is great. I need to slam some more of it down. This is going to be tough. Top 5. Charles Leclerc, number 5. Don't hate me because I said it. I love Charles. It's just there's so many talented other drivers out there. And yeah, I don't know. Sorry. It's going to be very even with the top 5. Unfortunately, he gets the short end of the stick. Whew. All right. Here's another one that's unpopular. Oscar Piastri, number 4. With McLaren doing as good as what they did last year, Oscar won 2 races last year. His first 2 races he's won. The guy is talented. He's going to win a championship. I just don't think this year. I think they prioritize Lando, and it's going to be right off the bat. They prioritize Lando for being the more senior driver, just like they did towards the end of the last season. I think that's what we're going to get to see. Number 3, Sir Lewis Hamilton. I think he comes in. He feels really good with that Ferrari. I think he struggles in the beginning. Struggles a little bit in the beginning. I think he picks it up, and then he just starts to dominate. And I think he gets those couple wins that really mean a lot. I think he wins at Monza. I think he maybe I'd like to see another Silverstone race. That race fits him so well. Um, I think with the arrow on that car, Baku, with how late he breaks, he could very well win that race. There's a couple of them in there. I definitely am looking at Lewis like you should probably win this. Canada, I think Canada is the one where he breaks out and he really shows I'm comfortable with this Ferrari and he gets a win there too. It's where he got his first win. Romantic. Let's do it again. And now in a Ferrari. Oof, that would be beautiful to see. Uh, top two. All right. Can't believe I'm going to say what I'm about to say. Max Verstappen 2. I know. Four-time champ. Should really be 3, but 4. 4. It's written down. It's 4. Should be 3, but it's 4. 4. All right. I'm putting him at number 2 because I think that Red Bull might still be taking a step backwards. They lost Adrian Newey. He's going to be over at Aston Martin. As you notice, I didn't put Fernando in the top 10. Definitely not going to put Stroll in the top 10. It's mainly because I think they're working on that 2026 car. I don't think Adrian Newey won't have a stamp on this car. Not until the second half of the season. By then, I think it's going to be too late. I think they take a big step backwards this year and say, F it, we're going to focus on 2026. That's it. Simple as that. Max number 2, they're going to be fighting back and forth with none other than Lando Norris. I think this is his only chance to really get a championship because the car in 2026 is completely different, completely new car. McLaren might shit the bed again. I think this is his one and only chance to get this championship that is already in the bag. Yeah, I think he corrects a lot of the things that he does wrong. I think mentally, now that he's seen what it's like to win, and he understands what he needs to do, and he knows what to do correctly 4 times now. Last season, 4 times. Pretty decent. Not the absolute worst. He was there up until like 3 races left. Brazil really killed him with Max winning there. I think he fixes a lot of the wrongs from last year. He needs to get a little bit better in wet weather racing. That's about it. I think the car is going to be spot on. Every single year they've improved it somehow since 2022 to make this car be where it needs to be to get to the podium, to get to the top step. So I'm putting Lando at number 1. He is favored to win the season if you go to the sport books. Max in a car who I don't know if it's going to be the best. If it keeps raining, Max will probably win. If it's not raining, Lando with sheer speed. So I think that car just takes form from where it was last year. I think they only improved on it because they now know what to look for in the wind tunnel as they're doing the testing. Not too much stuff you really want to mess with. So I'm liking that. Okay, that's my preseason predictions. Now, Australia steps up and happens this week. Man, I'll tell you what, I've never been a big fan of the Australia race. But I'll tell you what, it's a wide track, plenty of opportunities for passing. The more I watch the track now in my elder years, the more I appreciate it. I think it's a pretty good layout with a couple of DRS zones where the back wing opens up and you get an extra 15 kilometers an hour to go faster to get around a guy. I'm looking forward to this race. There's something about that race that's really, really gearing me towards that race, and it's going to be the fact that it's supposed to rain on Sunday. Yep, it's supposed to rain. Now, if it rains, I think it's going to be Max who wins because who can compete with him? Who can compete with Max in wet weather? He is just that good on wet weather. His car could be a second off the pace on dry, but you make it wet, and I think he gets that easy win. Who knows? Maybe Ocon will be on the podium with a Haas. Their first podium ever. That would be something magical because that guy can drive in the wet weather too. I don't know how or why, but he's just got a knack for it. But I think Max wins if it's raining. If it's dry, it's Lando. This weekend, now in America, it's going to be a late race. I'm here out in the desert, Arizona. So for me, it's going to be like a 9 o'clock race. Qualifying is going to be Friday night at 10 o'clock, I believe. So the race is going to be at 9 o'clock on Saturday, and it messes with you because over there in Melbourne is daytime on Sunday. So you're like, "Ooh, all right, they're already experiencing Sunday and their Sunday race. I'm sitting here drinking these guys watching the race." So, yeah, plain and simple. Max wins if it's wet. Lando wins if it's dry. That's how I'm going to break it down. So to kind of wrap this up, give me a little bit of feedback. If you don't quite understand everything with Formula One, I like to say I can relate it to American sports. I think the football reference helps out as far as understanding the teams and the driver, the salary cap, and you just kind of got to watch. It's one of those sports where if you're not absolutely perfect, you're just gonna shit the bed, and it's gonna be like a Zach Wilson performance. It's gonna be like Johnny Manziel. It's gonna be like those types of performances where it's just embarrassing. You got those some guys that make a couple dumb decisions, and it's like Jameis Winston. Like you can compare these guys to different quarterbacks that are out there. As far as the teams go, you can relate those to different teams too. So as far as just always getting it wrong and just can't seem to get it together. I mean, I would put Kick Sauber as being Jacksonville Jaguars. I would put Ferrari as being kind of like the Dallas Cowboys because they've won so much in the past and they just can't really do it now. Um, and so you can kind of relate all these teams to different other teams and so on and so forth. I mean, actually, I wouldn't say that Ferrari's as embarrassing as Dallas. I think that was mean. Maybe Green Bay Packers are more like Ferrari. They've won so much in the past, and they're trying to get up there. They're trying to get back up to that form. They're making the right moves, kind of. Not in this offseason. And we'll talk about that tomorrow. But they're doing it. They're trying to get there. So that's that. You pretty much just got to tune into Formula One. You can feel the intensity through the screen. The commentators for ESPN, Sky Sports, it's absolutely amazing. The way that they break it down. I actually tune in early so I can watch Martin Brundle do the pit walk. The pit walk and how he kind of just runs up and down the whole grid. I'm sorry, the grid walk. How he runs up and down the grid where all the cars are parked, trying to get interviews with drivers, celebrities. It is embarrassing every single year when they come to America and he doesn't know some of these American people that are there. And the cringiness of all these American celebrities too with I'm too good to talk to you. Like you don't even know what Formula One is. Why are you being like this? You're just there for status. So it's like going to the Kentucky Derby, but you got 24 Kentucky Derbies. Like, don't act like that when you got that many of those. Makes no sense and super cringy. People just laugh at you, especially if you're outside the United States, where this is super popular, and it has been for quite a while. So to have an event, it's like soccer, not necessarily big here in the United States, big overseas. Formula One, same plateau. So Formula One, it's special, near and dear to me. I'm gonna do one of these follow-ups. I think before we get to every race, I'm gonna kind of say my predictions for that week, maybe, and then speak about what I thought of the previous race. I know I'll be drawn out by that point, but I'm trying to figure this out, see how I want to run this. But Formula One's near and dear to me. I definitely want to give my feedback on it. I would like to say I'm well versed in the knowledge of Formula One, especially being a fan for as long as I have been, and really understanding what's going on in the sport. So, give me your feedback. Tell me what you guys like, what you dislike. If you agree with me with Drive to Survive, great. I love it. If you disagree with me and you think some of the stuff maybe was a different narrative, hey, let's hear it. Or maybe there's other things that you disliked, or maybe other things you did like. Hey, I love Singapore and how they portrayed that. I dislike how they dismissed Chaco and Ocon. Hey, we all have our opinions. But please say what you do and you don't like and tell me your predictions for the year. Shoot, maybe Lando's not the guy. Maybe Max isn't the guy. Maybe you guys think Fernando Alonso's going to win it. Awesome. I hope he does. Actually, I hope everybody wins except for Liam and well, I don't have to say Stroll's name because we all know he's not. But that's what I think. And that's how I feel. So let's hear from you guys now. And we will follow back up with this letter. So from the BRP podcast, this is Lucka, and we're going to say goodbye. Lights out and away I go. Good night.
Tune into the Burp. Let's get it. Let's get it, get it. You did it, 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 it's good. You've been into the Burp. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. This has been a presentation from the Ball. Productions.